Hello, my name is Craig Elston. I am a naturalist and nature photographer with CDE Nature, and I am the city naturalist with the City of Hudsonville. In this video, we will look at two of the earliest spring wildflowers to bloom in West Michigan. The first is skunk cabbage. Skunk cabbage is a member of the Araceae or arum family, which consists of 114 genera and about 3,750 known species worldwide. There are 8 genera and 14 species of this family native to Michigan. A few examples of these are green dragon, jack-in-the-pulpit, wild calla, arrow arum, which is also known as tuckahoe, and the very small duckweeds and water meals. Now let's take a look at this striking and intriguing plant found in low, wet woods, floodplains, stream banks, and other swampy areas. The plant actually begins to show up in the fall and sits waiting for the time for the flowers parts to develop in late winter to early spring. Skunk cabbage is thermogenic, meaning it produces its own heat. It produces enough heat to melt through snow and ice for 12 to 14 days when the plant is in bloom. This warming also provides a warm area inside the spathe for pollinating flies after they are drawn in by the pungent odor released by the plant. Physiologically, the warmth is created by the flower heads breaking down substances while using a good deal of oxygen. The rootstock and roots store large amounts of starch and are the likely source of nutrients for this breakdown. The internal temperature of this flower was 71 degrees Fahrenheit, while the outside ambient temperature was 30 degrees. As the plant develops and blooming commences, the 4 to 6 inch high pointed hood called a spathe is visible, protruding up through the leaves, grasses, or just from the wet ground. Spathes are usually purple with patches or stripes of yellow or yellow-green. Sometimes the coloring is opposite, with the yellowish being the predominant color. The hood is a highly modified leaf called a spathe. The spathe wraps around itself to form a space that encloses a spherical head of flowers called a spadex. As blooming commences, the hood opens on the side to allow the flies to pollinate the flowers. The roundish flower head has a spongy consistency, like the spathe itself. It consists of numerous small, tightly packed individual flowers that do not have any petals. When the spathe emerges out of the ground, there is often the tip of a large bud next to it, sticking an inch or two out of the ground. This bud contains all the leaves that develop on the plant. As the spathe slowly begins to wilt, the tightly packed bud of leaves begins to grow. It grows longer than the spathe and is shaped like the tip of a spear. As the days get noticeably warmer, by the end of April and early May, the bud rapidly unfolds. The bright green leaves unfold in a spiraling pattern. Each leaf is rolled in upon itself and at the same time enwraps the next leaf. The leaves are oblong in shape and have a long leaf stalk. The leaf stalks are thick but also easy to crush. When crushed, the stem or leaf give off a strong, distinct skunk odor. As the growth surge peaks in mid-May, the wetland is flooded with green patches of skunk cabbage. Skunk cabbage can cover very large areas when the proper light and moisture conditions come together. Skunk cabbage, like other members of the arum family, contains calcium oxalate. If consumed, it makes the mouth and digestive tract feel as though hundreds of needles are being stuck into it. The large, knobby black fruit that somewhat resembles a small pineapple matures in late fall. when the plants are leafless and is often not recognized as belonging to the skunk cabbage. The large pale brown seeds are embedded in a spongy white matrix inside the fruit. In Michigan, 4 species of game birds are known to eat the seed of skunk cabbage. These large seeds lay on top of the soil through the winter. By early spring, they begin to grow a new plant. The plant starts to grow on the surface, but as the roots grow, they will pull the plant down into the soil. According to the Michigan flora, this remarkable plant has contractile roots that pull its long trunk-like rhizome into the ground as growth proceeds, the lower portion gradually rotting away as the plant ages. Plants appear to reach great age, most effusively expressed by Schul in 1924. The skunk cabbage that is seen today growing in unpretentiousness in any bog may possibly outrival the sturdiest of the oaks in point of age, may not improbably have occupied the very spot long years before Columbus set foot upon our shores, and may continue there 1,000 years and more from now if only fates be kind. The second wildflower you want to look at is Harbinger-of-spring. In the Grand Rapids Flora, published in 1901, Emma J. Cole wrote of Eryngia bulbosa, our earliest spring flower. It appears even before the snow has left the shady nooks. Harbinger of spring is truly our earliest spring ephemeral, as it will bloom in March of years with mild end to winter. Otherwise it blooms in April, lasting into May.
Harbinger of spring is found in open deciduous woods. This hardy little flower is a real treat for those finding it early in the spring, when other early flowers aren't quite blooming yet. The spring beauties, hepaticas, and fall shrew anemones are not far behind. Harbinger of spring is an Apiaceae or parsley family, and is the easiest to identify from this group. One reason it is so easily identified is the early bloom time, as no others in the family are blooming in early spring. With nearly 3,000 species worldwide and nearly 400 species in North America in this family, it is the only species in the genus Eryngia. Small white flowers with blackish red anthers clustered in leafy bract umbels lead to the name salt and pepper. The perennial plant rises from a small, deep-seated tuber and is small and inconspicuous at bloom time, but becomes larger, leafier, and more spreading. The compound leaves are 1 to 2 or 3 times divided, with leaf segments linear to oblong. The leaflets often are not fully developed. Leaves are few and inconspicuous when blooming begins, but become more plentiful and visible. This is one of the many treats for those willing to get out early and look in our woodlands for early spring ephemerals.